I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're not in a comfortable space to talk to me about things, or a comfortable space to ask questions, because we should all be able to ask questions. I mean, like, whenever people have, their kids or something, sometimes little kids can have questions or say like, why does he look that way? Or, we don't even really get questions about Abel's looks, to be honest. It's more questions about like, oh, why is he having a hard time walking? Because like one of the secondary conditions I mentioned to you it has caused him to have surgeries on his legs, and we're trying to resolve all of that. And so that's a lot of the questions I think kids notice, is that like, oh, he seems to be having a hard time walking, or why can't he talk, or why can't he can talk, but why can't I understand everything that he's saying? Those are some questions. And, I don't mind those questions. I invite them. I think that they're important.
Yeah.
And I would encourage parents to not, like, if your child does ask questions about someone with disability, like my personal take is just like, don't pull them away or tell them to be quiet, or, whatever else, because like, then you kind of run to the complete opposite issue, which is just like people getting ignored. And I don't want people to ignore Abel.
Yeah.
So, I would say questions are fine.
Good. Yeah, I think my kids are pretty good too about being curious, and I think that we've done pretty well in keeping that door open for dialogue for them, and knowing that they can ask questions. And now we may there may be times where we're like, hey, it's okay to be curious, but let's not point and stare and be like, what is going, because it's just their kid reaction, right? And sometimes we don't even have it with we had one time Stevie, this wasn't even about somebody with disabilities, because we've talked about, I think we've talked about like smoking before, and and like the negative things about that, and and we're like walking right by this lady, and Stevie's like, Dad, that lady is smoking, and I'm like, chill Stevie, like yes, I know, I see she's allowed to if she wants to, it's a free country where she's outside, like chill out, we don't have to yell at her, and she's an adult, she can make a choice. So it was like, there's times like that, I guess, that come up, but for the most part, I think that we've allowed them to have dialogue, but also pointed out just a few things about politeness, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a really great thing one time, and it was just like a talking point for your kids. Like, if someone can fix it in like 20 seconds or less, it's okay to bring up. So like, if they have something stuck in their teeth, okay, well, I can get it out. If, you're, I don't know, if you have something, a smudge on your face, like, okay, I can wipe it off. Now, if they're in a wheelchair, can I fix that in 20 seconds? No, probably not good to say something about it. You know what I mean? Do you have a bad haircut, or what they deem a bad haircut? They can't fix that in 20 seconds. So don't say anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, I've always told Ella, I've gone so far as to tell Ella, we do not comment on other people's appearances unless we're saying something nice. And she's very good about that, to the point of where she compliments just about everyone she meets about something about themselves. But, so yeah,
that's pretty, I can see that. I think that's a pretty good way of explaining it.
Yeah.
Riker, actually there was a recent thing with Riker, and I didn't really know, I don't know, I could get your take on it. Because I thought he did okay, really, for being 9. He was at a baseball tryout, and one of the boys that was at the tryout with him, I didn't see him, so I don't know exactly what he was saying, but there was something going on with his skin, like he was losing, like, maybe that pigment thing, and so it's like his skin maybe looked patchy or something like that. And Riker was curious about what was going on with him, and so they're standing in the line. This is Riker telling me the story afterwards. They're standing in the line, waiting for their turn or whatever to go. And Riker told me that this is what he said. That he goes, hey, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but why does your skin look like that? And the boy said, oh, I don't know, I was born with it. And Riker was like, oh, okay. And then they just went back to baseball.
That's pretty much how it goes. I will say, it's probably, I wonder if it's vitiligo. It probably is. Where there's like, like they might have like darker skin, and like lighter skin, and like patches. Yeah. But yeah, that is pretty much how it goes. I mean, like, our neighbors, they're great, and their kids are the same age as ours. And I remember like they had some questions, because to them, I think Abel's very big and tall. You've seen him, he's over 4 feet tall now. And he's just a big dude, but he's still very much looks like a baby. Tall, right? What's that?
Chris is pretty tall though, right? Isn't that?
He's like 6'6". Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Chris is tall. So
and Ella's tall. I'm the only one who's not. So yeah, he looks like a big baby
Yeah.
because his face is very youthful looking, I think.
Yeah.
And, he is still wearing diapers. Not that kids would necessarily see that, but, our neighbor's kids did see that he was wearing a diaper. And so they were like, at the time, I think he was 4. And they're like, well, I thought you said he was 4. I'm like, yeah. And but he's not talking and he's wearing a diaper. Like, why is that? And then we just explained, like, he has Down syndrome. And they were just like, oh, okay. And it was just, it was like never an issue.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like, our kids mirror the way that we view things. So
Yeah.
it's always important to know that they're always watching.
Yeah.
Because I remember, now this predates me ever having any kids. A good friend of my mom's has a medical condition that's like pretty visible. You can't miss it. And I remember we went out to dinner, and it was for her birthday, actually, for my mom's friend's birthday. And there was a mom and her teenage daughter, and I saw them keep looking at my mom's friend and like kind of pointing and laughing at her.
Mm.
And I just remember thinking, like, wow, like, I didn't want to say anything because normally I would, but I didn't want to like cause a scene and embarrass my mom's friend and ruin her night because she was having such a good time and she had no idea. She couldn't see it happening. And so I was just thinking, like, wow, that's how you're raising your kid, lady.
Right. Yeah.
That's
And that's not curiosity either.
that's just laughing and being really nasty. And,
right.
It's just, and that same friend of my mom's, like, just some of the things that people have like come up and said to her, it really boggles your mind. It goes way beyond curiosity, like, just really terrible things. And, I don't know. I'm a really sensitive person about the things I say to people.
Yeah.
I'm not so sensitive about what people say to me necessarily, which is really interesting because given how sensitive I am to others, you'd think I'd be very sensitive, but I'm just not. I don't know. Just
my thing is not that I try to cater to everyone. Like, I don't think that's the right outlook to it because there is this constant like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and so
well,
I
you
don't
can never relax then.
right. And so I don't have that approach. My approach is always just, what is the compassionate way? Like, what is me showing compassion towards the person?
Yeah.
Because I'm always trying to look at people the way, that I'm a Christian, obviously. And so I'm always trying to look at people the way that Jesus would look at them.
Yeah.
And I want to interact with them the way that Jesus would interact with them. And so I don't ascribe to the whatever people want to call it of trying to cater to people and trying to cater to everyone's feelings. It's not that. It's just that there are times when we could probably just show each other more compassion towards each other.
Yeah.
Without, being like, oh, you just, don't want to hurt feelings.